Hi, in today's video I'm going to be covering readability mode in the w3m browser. So what I'll do is open How to Geek, and then I'll open an article and show you what it does. So when I open this article, first of all we have all these links which are the header links, and we have to scroll down past all of this to actually get to the content. So what readability mode is it uses a Python script to strip out all the menus and just give you the content, and we do this by pressing a hotkey that we've created in w3m. So I press the hotkey, and what happens is it strips out all the menus and gives us just the text and the images. Now if you have a look down here, you'll see that it's opening a file called readability-lxml. And basically what we did in a previous video was add this bit of code here that runs when I execute the hotkey. And basically what it's doing is it's using the read shell command in w3m, and it's running a bit of Python, which is a Python library that we installed, and I'll put a link to how you install this under the video. But basically it runs this readability library, and then it takes the URL of the current page and it redirects it into a temporary HTML page, and then it loads that HTML page. Now the problem is two issues. One, I didn't want to use a temporary HTML page, and the second is now that I'm on this readability.html page, this temporary page, if I click the back button in w3m, you'll see it takes me to this page saying viewing shell output, and I have to press back again to get back to the actual page. So that's two problems, basically the temporary web page and the issue with it having an extra buffer we have to go back through. So what I'm going to do is quit w3m and then come back to the configuration and comment this section out and uncomment the next piece of code. So in this next piece of code, what I'm doing is exactly the same thing, but I'm not redirecting it into a temporary HTML page. So let's see what happens when we run this bit of code and what issues crop up. So I'll open w3m again and How to Geek, and I'll come down and open this page. So what I'm going to do is run the keyboard shortcut, and you'll see what happens now is it's actually displaying the HTML source. So that's no good because we're not going to read the page like that. But there's a keyboard shortcut you can press, which is V, and as soon as I press V, it toggles between viewing the source code and the page's HTML. But that's not really a good way to browse. You know, you don't want to have to load it up, it show up with all the HTML page code, and then you press V. And then also, if I press B to go back, what's happening is we're going back onto the source of the HTML page, and I'll click back again. So let's quit w3m and have a look at the next chunk of code. So I'll comment this out and have a look. So basically the what we want to do is be able to view the page as HTML and not as the source code, and also we want to get rid of the issue of when we go back it's showing the source code. So if we have a look at this next command, what I'm doing is I'm redirecting the output of this command to dev null. So I'm basically redirecting standard error out to dev null, so it will suppress any output in the terminal. And then secondly, what we're doing is using this separator here, this comma, semicolon rather, we can actually run additional commands. So what I can do is I can run the view command, which is basically equivalent to pressing V on the keyboard. So what that will do is, instead of it displaying the HTML source, is going to basically run the first command and then display it as HTML. Now there's another command that I come across which is delete previous buffer. basically what that's going to do is it's going to delete the source buffer after we've loaded the HTML. So what happens now if I uncomment this and come back to the terminal and then run this command again, and let's come back down page. Now when I press the keyboard shortcut, it loads instantly. You can see, and it's showing down here, it's viewing the HTML view of shell output, Python 3 readability, and the current URL. So it's not using a temporary HTML page. And then basically when I click the back button, it goes straight back to the previous web page because it's run that delete previous buffer command, which deleted the buffer with the HTML source. So if I come back here and come back into any of these articles, I can now just press the keyboard shortcut. Let me just turn on screen key. I didn't have it on before because I wasn't really doing stuff that required it. But now if I click the keyboard shortcut, see it comes straight onto the page here with all these images. And this is the URXVT terminal actually displaying these images. As you can see, they're working perfectly. And I can click the back key, Shift B, takes back to the previous page. And again, I can come down to any of these articles, open it up, disable screen key. You can see you've seen the keyboard shortcuts I was using. But basically now I can scroll through all of this, all the images, all the text. I can click back and it takes me straight back to the page. So that lets me come through any of these, open it up, keyboard shortcut, load up all the images and the text, come back out, find another link somewhere, show you how quick it works. All the images are coming up. Full size images. Go back. So I'll quit w3m and just switch back to Emacs and the actual command we're using. So this was the original command up here, and basically the way it works is we're running a keymap which runs this command read shell. This was the first version, which was running Python 3 with the readability library, which -u is specifying the URL, and this variable w3m URL is a built-in variable to the w3m browser, which refers to the URL of the current page. And then we were redirecting standard error to dev null and standard output into this temporary HTML page. And then we were running the load command to load the the temporary web page we'd created. And I said there were two issues. One, I didn't want to use a temporary HTML page. And secondly, the issue with every time you click the back button, you'd get a thing saying viewing output of shell command, and you'd have to click back again. So then we tried the second version, which was not redirecting the output at all and just displaying it within w3m. But the issue was that twofold. One, that it was actually displaying the page source, and secondly, the back buffer issue again. And so basically the third version, which solves those issues, is redirecting the standard error to dev null, so we don't get any output in the terminal, and then running the view command, which would then view the page as HTML as opposed to HTML code. And then we run the delete previous buffer command, which would then delete the buffer containing the source code, so that we can basically switch back from readability mode to the article without having to press back twice and having loads of junk coming up in the terminal. So that's how we can sort of improve the readability option within w3m, remove the need for a temporary HTML page, pipe it straight back into w3m and get it to view it as HTML and delete the previous buffer. So let's just have a quick look and go back, show you what the issue with just piping it straight into w3m without using view and previous buffer was. So when I was doing that, it would come up like this. I'd have to press V on the keyboard, then it would work. Then if I click back, it'd come back to this. Then I'd have to click back again. So let's look at the final version that addresses those issues. Now we can come down, find a link. Same one. Press the keyboard shortcut. Got all the images and the text coming up. Click back. So no need for a temporary HTML page, which speeds things up. And back again. See, all the images are loading up perfectly. So it just makes it a bit nicer to use. w3m, strip out all that content straight away with a single keyboard shortcut, and then browse back, and that's it. And also you can use surf all from within w3m, and you can also run surf all on the command line and then open the results in w3m like this with a little script I wrote. So ddg w3m, got all the results there in DuckDuckGo. Open that up. Same thing within w3m. So that's just making w3m a bit more useful. Strip out all the content you get, like all the extra menus. Open this page up. Turn on the readability mode. And this one didn't really have anything, so that's why the How To Geek was a better site to demo it. But for some reason I've noticed sometimes with DuckDuckGo Lite you'll get the result and then not get it again. So you can see it's not showing How To Geek, but if I run it again, it should come up. Yeah, there you go. There's the page. And basically I'm just running this keyboard shortcut, which is comma and then dot, because they're next to each other. So I just press comma and then press and hold comma when do dot, and it will strip that out and give us all the content. Press B, go back. So it's really quick, and it's just basically one line of code in your w3m keymap file. So again, this is a new bit of code. We run the read shell command, and we use read shell instead of shell, because if you run shell, what it's going to do is it's going to prompt you to press the key, press OK, press return on the keyboard, and read shell will just execute the command without requiring you to press anything on the keyboard. And again, we run Python with the readability script, the URL, and we redirect standard out error to dev null. Then we set it to view the source. We set it to not view the source, but to view the HTML, and delete the previous buffer. So I have some notes and this is a page basically that came up with a list of the functions. So these are all the functions that you can run when you run a keyboard shortcut within w3m. So you can set it to run some of these commands. So basically, I came down and got stuff like pipe shell and pipe buffer. I think there was view was down here, yeah, toggle between HTML shown or processed. So that's the view command. I think there was the delete previous buffer. Delete previous buffer should be up the top, you'd think. It may not be listed here. Oh yeah, here it is. Delete previous buffer. Delete previous buffer, mainly used for local CGI scripts. But basically, that's what we use to remove the buffer with the HTML source. So by running the view command and then the delete previous buffer, it basically uses the source as HTML and then deletes that previous buffer containing the HTML source. So I should have some notes on setting up w3m GitHub loads. Oh, I've got dark theme in this. w3m. I think I've got it somewhere written down here. Is it? No. But I did have some notes about how you install the Python library. Basically, it was from a video from GotBlue's site. And I just sort of worked on his sort of code. I thought I had some notes somewhere about setting this up, but I'll leave some notes about installing the Python readability library. Let me just see if I've got it somewhere. Quite like this new dark theme. So where would it be? I'm trying to think where I put that. I'll have a look and basically put a link to the setup and what you need to do to get that working. But that's basically the keymap file, which would be w3m up here, the keymap file. So that's going to be w3m keymap. And basically just create that file if you don't have it, and you can put in this chunk of code. And then when you run comma, hold down comma and press the period, it's going to run the readability script and basically pipe page back into w3m, remove all the junk, view it as HTML, and delete the previous buffer containing the source code. So that's w3m, and just press the keyboard shortcut and it just strips it out, and it's a lot quicker than using the temporary web page and go back. We don't have that annoying issue with it saying viewing output of shell command, and toggle back and forth really quickly like that. Just to remove all this, go from that to this. So it's really quick, and it just makes it a bit easier than having an external web page. So that's readability mode with w3m, and improving a couple of issues that I had with it using the temporary web page and the back buffer issue, which basically we solved by chaining these two commands. So we replaced this section here, redirecting the output into a temporary web page and then loading the web page with this section down here where we're running the Python script which outputs it back into w3m, but it was outputting it as the HTML source. We then run the view command, which is like pressing V on the keyboard, which toggles between displaying HTML source and the HTML page. So that basically displays the page as HTML instead of the source code. And then we run the delete previous buffer command to delete the buffer containing the source code. So that's how that all works, and addresses a couple of issues. It makes it a bit quicker to use, and just makes using w3m a bit more convenient, and more like a sort of regular browser, because using regular browser can be a bit annoying with all the ads and the JavaScript. So using w3m allows you to actually run other commands from within w3m. You can execute shell scripts to do lots of different things, launch videos, view videos up, view audio up, and use readability mode just to strip out all the cruft from the web page. And again, this is just urxvt, and all the images actually work within this, not getting all the flickering, and it really depends on your sort of w3m settings. I've found you can sort of tweak them to actually get the images to work in browsers, in terminals that don't normally work with images that well. So that's just getting w3m to be a bit more usable. So that's all for now.